Hello everybody, so this is going to be my first video on Retribution Paladin. So just to introduce myself, I play Retribution Paladin only, and I read a lot of guides, and I have a lot of good players from the Chinese server, so I know a lot from them, so I just want to give you something that you can't find on icyvein on how to improve your DPS. Okay, so first of all, let's just dive into the talents. Okay, so if you're doing Mythic plus Dungeon, you need to have greater judgment because there's the most part, majority time of the Mythic plus dungeon are dealing with the ads, and you want to kill the ads as fast as possible. And greater judgment is really good because usually for the ads you have about 3 or 4. So one judgment will give them the debuff for 4 of them. I think 3 of them. I don't remember. And then you can use your Divine Storm to deal more damage. So in Mythic Plus, you always take this. Unless you're doing a very difficult key, such as, level 15, if you want to get, the 900 item level for the next week. And the third affix is enhancing the boss damage. Then you probably would take the Fire of Justice because you need to kill the boss as soon as possible for those high level key, especially for like Eye of Ashera and Court of Stars, where the final boss is insane with high level key. So for this level, I would recommend Blinding Light because when it happens sometimes when all of your global CD for your damage spells are in cooldown and you can't use anything and you're gonna sit there for like a second. If you have blinding lights, you can just use this for your global cooldown and it deals slightly damage, but that's some damage at least. And for this level of talents, I would recommend for Mythic Plus Dungeon, you use Divine Hammer. Right now it's insane. The reason why is because Divine Hammer deals holy damage, which means it ignores armor. And for the Blade of Wrath, it does physical damage, which means it will be reduced by the armor. So Divine Hammer slightly loses to Blade of Wrath in single target. But as long as you have 2 targets or more, Divine Hammer is absolutely more powerful. So in Mythic Plus Dungeon, always take Divine Hammer. Unless, once again, if the hardest part of your high level key is, the final boss, then you need to focus yourself in single target damage, which you would take this. And for Nighthold, there's a lot of bosses with ads, so usually you would take Divine Hammer. The only time you would take Blade of Wrath is the third boss, Treaty Axe, because it's pure single target, and I would say Tichondrias if the hardest part is to deal the damage to Tichondrias instead of the bats and the blobs. It just depends, but so basically just when you're doing just single targets, you will take this and this, and if you are dealing with a lot of ads, you will take this and this. But still, for Nighthold, because a lot of times it's a long fighting duration, so sometimes you would take this. Because in Mythic Plus Dungeon, the reason you would take this is because you use all your spells, and then after you all use everything and everything is in cooldown, the ads are pretty much dead. But if you're in a long fight, you will run into a lot of times where all your spells are in like you know um, cooldowns, and you will just sit there and wait for a few seconds, 1 second or two. So in long fights with a lot of ads, I would suggest you take this instead of that. This is only useful, I would assume, in Mythic Plus dungeons, because most of the waves of creeps are like 3 or 4. So taking this is very important, because then your Divine Hammer will do the damage to those ones with the debuff of the Judgment. Okay, so moving on. This is pretty much standard. Sometimes you can use this to reduce the physical damage you take. There's a lot of bosses where they will just do inevitable physical damage to you, so you can use that. But to just relieve the healer's healing pressures. And also, for example, if you're fighting against Odin, when you got targeted by the ads, and the ads will attack you no matter what. If you're targeted, then you use this, and then it will do damage to the ads who is attacking you. So that's a little bit more DPS you can do. This, it depends. If sometimes you make mistakes, or when you're fighting Golden, sometimes you just get instantly killed, then you will take this. So that will save you 1 battle res. And if you're very confident that you won't die, I would suggest you taking this, because you have 2 charges of the horses. Because in a lot of fights, you need to be mobile, especially in Nighthold, when you're fighting against the second boss, you need to move around. When you're fighting against Elisandra, you need to move around. A lot of movement. And also for Tichondrius, you need to move to kill the blobs. You need to move to the other side if you get affected by the swarm. So it depends. If you're confident, take this. Crusade is still, just take this, even though it's been nerfed recently. And also, I just want to comment on the nerf recently. When 7.15 just came out, Retribution Paladin is really powerful, and then it got nerfed and nerfed and nerfed again and again. It's really sad. And now we are pretty much out of tier 1 for single targets, but thanks to Divine Hammer, we're still kind of tier 1 in terms of AoE damage. For example, for Botanist, I always as the number 1 for the damage overall. Okay, so that is that. I also want to talk about the gears. So first of all, in Mythic Plus Dungeon, if you are taking the greater judgments and you want to take advantage of your the debuff when you do the Divine Storm, you need to increase your mastery. So right now this is just my Nighthold gear, but if in a Mythic Plus dungeon, you need to have more masteries. So for example, I have this ring to replace this. I will get 32, and then probably I would take this over that. It would give me 36. That's a lot of masteries. And you can see here, well, not only it increases your judgment damage by 72, that's twice as this number. And if you have greater judgment, it's gonna hit more targets and it's gonna critical strike. So once you have a lot of mastery and then you take this, and in Mythic Dungeon, the first time you hit them, it just does like 2 million damage overall, just in one skill. And then your divine hammer is going to deal 36% more damage. So that is why, in Mythic Plus dungeon, just, it's better to have more masteries. And if you're doing single targets, then you need to stack your critical strike. So let's just switch my, so see this one, even though it's like 870 and this one is 880, I will still switch it for single target because it gives me more critical strike. And then for single targets, mastery is just kind of useless. And also I will just take this thing back. Or for single targets, take this and take this. So Eye of Command, if you keep attacking this target, it will stack your critical strike. And with this that you got from Nightbane, it will increase the effect of your trinkets by 30%. The trinkets you get from the Karazhan only. So these trinkets are good for single targets. So I want to talk about faulty countermeasure. This one is insane. What you need to do is that it's only insane in single target. You want to create a macro. Let me show you. So this is my macro. So my macro is that once you have 5 holy power, and then you want to use your crusade, right? So this is my macro. So you cast crusade, you use 14, and then you use Temple of Verdict. So what's 14? So 14 is this. So because the faulty countermeasure is gonna give you weapon damage for 30 seconds. So which is perfect for your crusade, which is also 30 seconds, and then the cooldown is 2 minutes, so it's perfect. So you use your crusade, you use your faulty countermeasure, and you use your Temple of Verdict. So these can be casted in the same split second because they don't share the global cooldown. So that's how you do your rotation right in the beginning. You want to have 5 holy power. You want to have the judgment debuff on the target, and then you use this. And then you just do your normal rotation, So that's that. Faulty countermeasure is very good. I'll talk about the trinket right now. Okay, so I have a website, and it does a lot of simulation. So I'm just gonna tell you, the good trinket and their ranking. So if you're doing single targets, and also if you have your DPS legendary this, or if you have the legendary ring, where is it? Where is it? Okay, this one. So if you have your legendary ring, if you have your legendary waist and your legendary cloak, then you don't need your legendary trinket, which is the Kil'jaeden wish. Then the first trinket for single target will be Convergence of Fates, because it's still powerful. It still depends on the fight. It's definitely number one for long fights more than 5 or 6 minutes. So that will be guaranteed giving you one more crusade. And also, if you are doing a fight that is, exactly 4 minutes, where you can't pop your third crusade, having the Convergence of Fate will give you the opportunity to have your third crusade during a 4 minutes fight. So it's situational, but mostly, especially in long fights, Convergence of Fate is your number one trinket. This is based on simulations. It's not just based on my claim. I will show you the websites below in my video description. And second one is the Eye of Command, especially with your trinkets. It's really good, single targets. But in some fights in Nighthold, especially where you need to switch to attack the ads, then Eye of Command is no longer the number 2. And then it's the trinkets from the Scorpid, which is it gives you strength and also gives you the ability to attack, give you the ability to deal damage on your melee attacks. However, just be sure that the damage area is very, very small. It's only the melee parts. So if you're doing a fight, where you can't attack them with your Crusader Strike, but you can attack them with your other spells because the other spell has longer range. Then your what's the name? Claw of the Crystalline Scorpid is not going to pluck. It's going to proc, but it's not going to deal damage to that creeps because it has to be in melee range. So it's very situational, but under the simulation craft, it deals a lot of damage. So if you are sure that you can be in melee to the targets you are dealing with, then it does a lot of damage. But if not, it doesn't do any damage at all. So it's very, I would say, very situational, or it depends on your habit. How you if you're sometimes you wanna not to be very close to the boss because there's a lot of AOE damage, or you don't wanna be close to a tank. It depends. So what you need to do is that after each fight, you just look at your SCADA, you just look at your damage composition and see if that trinket is really doing a lot of damage or not. Like for example, I have the trinket from Croesus, right? So you can see from this fight, the Croesus, the thing that it does damage is only like 1.5%, which is not very good. I still use it because it's a 890 trinket instead of my other trinkets like 865, 860, and this one is 875. Okay, so I want to talk about this as well. This trinket is also very good. It's ranked as about top 5, number 5. Okay, not it's number 6 for single target. So it's been recently buffed, and now the proc has more probability. And the other good trinket, okay, number 3 is faulty countermeasure. Number 4 is the Eye of Command without the chest. Eye of Command is number 2 with this chest. Okay. And then the next one is the unstable Arcano Crystal, which is the one you got from the World Boss. It's really good. It gives you a lot of secondary stats, the green stats. Okay. And then the next one is the Entwined Elemental Foci, which is this one. So that is the ranking for the single target trinket. And if you want to look at the multi-targets, number 1. Okay, I'm assuming that you have the legendary DPS items, so you won't have the legendary, you won't have the spot available for legendary trinket. Okay, number 1 for multi-targets, it's the Claw of the Crystalline Scorpid. It makes sense. Number 2, Eye of Command with chest. So for multi-targets, if you don't switch to targets, then your Eye of Command still gives you the same critical strike buff. So it doesn't matter if you cleave, if you use your Divine Hammer or not, as long as you don't change your primary targets, your Eye of Command is going to stack. So that's why it's number 2. Number 3, Convergence of Fate. Next one is Entwined Elemental Foci, and the next one is the Eye of Command. So as you can see, right now, the best trinkets are, Eye of Command, and Entwined Elemental Foci, and then the trinket from the Scorpion, the first boss of the Nighthold, and also let's see, Convergence of Fate as well. Faulty Countermeasure is only good for a single target because it doesn't do any cleave damage at all. So that's that. Horn of Valor is a good trinket, but like in my situation, if it's like age 60, then it's not really worth it. So that's that. And I also want to talk about the tier items. So right now, the best gear you should have the two sets from the Surama dungeons, which gives you a chance, which gives you a chance of getting 3,300 versatility, which is about one third of the duration of fights by probability. And that's going to give you about 3% overall damage increase. So you want to have those two. And also those two are the shoulder and the chest. And they give you haste and critical strike, which is the best two stats overall. So if you have the shoulder and chest from the Surama dungeon, and if you have the legendary cloak and the waist, which is the two best legendary items, then you only have two spots for your tier items, and it gives you 10% more damage on your divine storm and Templar verdicts, which is a must. So you need to have two tier items. The 4 sets item bonus is not very good. It only gives you about 1 to 2% overall damage increase. And also, if you have the 4 tier items, you won't have the 2 items from the Surama sets. So you would rather have the 2 items from the tier sets, 2 items from the Surama quest, and the 2 legendaries. And then the trinkets I just talked about. And then for the rest, just get as high item level as possible, because for Retribution Paladin, strength is still number 1. And for rings and your neck, just get haste, critical strike preferably, and versatility is still good. Based on simulation, if you have less than 10% versatility is very good in terms of marginal marginal benefits. So overall, you want to have at least 22% of haste, close to 10% versatility, and as high critical strike as possible, preferably up to 35%. And for mastery, you just want to have it as low as possible. So that's that. What else? Okay, the relics. I'm going to talk about the relics. You want to have the relics to increase your duration of Avenging Wrath. That's for sure. Especially when you have the Convergence Fates, then your crusade is going to be insane. That's for sure. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Is there anything else I need to talk about? Okay. Oh yeah, by the way, for the bonus loot, theoretically you can get more than 3 per week. There is a weekly quest from the follower missions, and one of them that gives you a bonus loot if you have 200% successful chance. So make sure you get that. And also, sometimes the weekly quest gives you a bonus loot as well. For this week, it doesn't. But for the time walking dungeon weekly quest, it's gonna give you 1 more bonus loot. And you want to save your bonus loot for, let me show you for which boss. Yeah, make sure you do your Karazhan every week. Try to get a high item level Eye of Command. So you want to use a bonus loot on this boss because it gives you this relic, which is very important. And also, you want to save your loot for this boss because it not only gives you the Conversion of Fate's Trinket and also, the tier items, the head. Okay, So that's pretty much everything. Uh, everything that's well, I haven't checked icyvein recently, but I think this is some informations that a normal North American players won't know because I learned this from the Chinese server. Anyways, this is my okay. I'm gonna end it now.